There are a set of students at every point that get the highest grade. Whenever you ask them about their grade, they keep telling you that they scored the highest.
What did you score in your ECM? I scored 85A.
And you keep wondering why they manage to do that consistently. Now, the thing is, there are certain ways they study that makes them score that particular grade consistently. And if you apply that particular strategy, you also get the same results. On this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the secrets top students will never tell you about how they study. These ways they study gets them the grades consistently. For you in particular, no matter how much you study and you sit all night, you seem not to get the grades they get. And because that seems very difficult, when you ask them about their grades, they keep telling you that they score very high and you keep wondering how they get to do that all the time. It's not because they are smarter than you or they are more intelligent than you. There are certain things that they do that you don't do. And on this video, I'm going to be sharing that with you right now. But before then, I'd like to share with you the experience I had on this particular situation and how I was able to improve at the end of the day. So when I was in the university, I kind of stuck at a particular type of grade. I keep getting C's and B's, and it seems that I cannot get more than that particular grade. And there are students in my class then that get highest grade, even from courses that seem too hard that everybody don't know about. Any difficult course that we feel that people will actually feel that will be a mass failure. If you ask this set of students, they will tell you that they scored 80 something 90 something and you keep wondering how they were able to do that. Then I moved close to them. I was able to get some things from them while I was their friend. I discovered that there are certain strategies and techniques that they apply while they are studying. And I come to discover that it is not that they were intelligent than me or they were just brilliant than me. It's just that they applied some specific technique. And when I applied that, my results changed totally. I was able to move from C's and B's to A's. And there was a particular semester that I actually had a 4.4, and it has never happened before, just by applying this strategy that I'm about to share with you. So, one of the strategies that I learned from top students in my class then was that they research about lecturers. And there are several things you should ought about any lecturer or teacher taking you because it will guide you on how to be able to study and to get the grades you desire. First of all, you need to research about their preferred answer format. You need to determine how to impress them. You also need to determine their learning objective. That is, how should study for you to be able to meet their answer requirements. Now, first of all, let me talk about their answer format. Now, under this answer format, there are specific things that some lecturers want you to do. It is actually related to what they value. Now, some lecturers value concise answers, and there are some lecturers they love explanation. So there are people that if you study in a way that you'll be able to give concise answers, you don't need to waste too much time going in depth. Just give them the way they gave you and you get your grades. So if you go ahead and explaining everything and doing everything, you are wasting your time. You won't get the grades. Even if your answer is correct, you will still get the grades you want. There are some that if you don't explain enough, you won't get the grades. There's this particular course I did in 300 level, and after the exam, our lecturer asked us to come for our script. So I went for my script and I discovered that although I got the answers correctly, but then I was not able to meet up with what the lecturer wants to see. And he didn't value my answer because I felt I didn't satisfy him enough. And there's this other student that did everything he wanted to see, even made references to other books in relation to the answer that is given, and he was able to score very high, like it is something A, and I was able to have like maybe a C. So that's when and I met this particular student, and he told me exactly what I'm telling you. There are some lecturers that they value some specific things. So if you tailor your answer in relation to what they value, you get the grades. How to impress them. Get an impression of how you'll be able to impress them. Now, this particular lecturer I was talking about has value for more explanation. So if you can give a certain lecturer more explanation, you'll be able to impress such person and you'll be able to get the grades. And one thing I discover is that when you are doing an exam, you and your lecturer, you are in a game. It's a strategic thing that is happening. So it's not about how correct the answer is, but how you can satisfy the person that is going to mark your notes. That is the most important thing. So if you don't impress them enough by and tailor your answer accordingly to how you'll be able to impress them, you won't get the grades. And one thing I also discovered then was that there are some lecturers that even if you provide explanation, there are specific ways you should tailor your answer in such a way that you get the grades you want. And there are some that even if you explain, if you don't do it in certain ways, you'll not be able to impress them and you'll not get the grades that you desire. And this top students knows about it and they keep doing it over and over again to get the grades. Another thing is that you should determine their learning objective. For the fact that there are some lecturers that they get impressed when you explain something to them, also determine whether that explanation he wants it word for word or he wants you to bring out your own idea and and just be yourself while you're writing. So there are lecturers that they prioritize memorization. If you can memorize everything that they give you word for word and give it back to them, no matter how much it is, you make them happy. And there are some that if you do that, you don't make them happy, you make them sad, and they are going to give you the grades. They are going to give you a very low grade. And there are some that if you could understand that that course well and write it in a creative way, in such a way that you are writing it according to your understanding, they will love you. All these things you should be able to pinpoint them and know what they want and give them what they want. And one another way top students study that you don't is that they try as much as possible to teach their colleague. I didn't know until I tried it and was really happy that it worked for me a lot. When you are taught a particular thing, when you teach it to someone else, is a very powerful thing. To make you identify lapses, you'll be able to know, okay, where where is that particular place that I don't know yet? Because is this particular course that I taught my colleagues then? And there are questions that those people that I teach then they bring up some questions and it sparks this thing in me that do I really know what I'm teaching? Because it makes me look at it in a different way. It makes me feel like I've not studied yet. And it makes me go back and read it again. There are times that I think I know, I want to teach them, but they will ask me certain questions and I'll look at it in another perspective and I'll be like, I didn't see it this way. Let me go back and study. And it makes me to understand more and be able to explain the more to them. Aside from the fact that teaching helps you to recall and makes you to retain that information, it also makes you to identify where you don't know and be able to go back and fill in those gaps. It is very powerful. So if you continuously teach what you learn to someone else, even after you've read once and you just continuously teach and you identify lapses and you correct those lapses, it's enough for you to go for the whole semester and go for your exam and you pass correctly. Straightforward. In fact, I did that for a course. I kept on, I taught so many people and I didn't bother to go back to read it again and I passed that exam. That was how I passed because I kept repeating it to myself over and over again. When I teach this person asks me a question, I feel like, okay, this thing is something I don't understand yet. Let me go back and read it and I come to teach another person. So I keep repeating it to myself over and over again at different places. So it got to a point that I didn't even need to carry the book again. I just had to teach them offhand. Then when I got to the exam, everything that I've been saying like over and over again to them when I was teaching them kept coming to my head and I provided answers to. At times you just stay at the table and there's nothing to question you. There nobody is questioning you on what you are reading. Nobody is testing your understanding. You are just there reading and when you get to the exam online, you are asked some certain questions, you'll be caught off guard. One other thing that I noticed in top students that top students do most of the time is that they are consistent. I have this particular guy in my school then when I was in uni. This guy stays in the library for the whole day. All he does is go to his hostel, from his hostel to the library, and he stays there for a whole day. He consistency is top notch. He doesn't do any other thing rather than reading. But I'm not saying that I should not do any other thing. I'm just saying that be consistent in such a way that it solidifies what you are learning, and you know it to the extent that you don't have to check your book again to provide some answers. And another thing that most top students do again is that they study way before their exam. You won't see a top student studying 3 days to their exam or 4 days to their exam. And this is a particular secret. This is the most powerful thing that you see some students they perform well than any other person. Now, when they study way before, there are things that they don't understand and they've been able to cover those lapses long before the day of the exam. They've been able to discover what they don't understand. They've been able to understand within that long period of time they've had since when they've been studying from the beginning of the semester. So by the time it got to the point of the exam, they don't need to touch some things again because they've understood. All they need to do is to revise and they'll go for the exam. So if you don't do that, you just keep wondering why you keep failing and you keep having the same results again and again. It's because you didn't take your time to study way before and keep revisiting it, revising it over and over again to the day of the exam. Another thing that top students do is that they don't joke with past questions. Now, aside from you researching from about your lecturer, past question also gives you insight about particular lecturer. Let me cite an example. You know, in uni there are different lecturers that take courses, and these different lecturers they have their question. I've studied some lecturers in such a way that when I see a question I know this is the lecturer that sets this question. Previous questions that are set for several years, I check them and I see that, and I look at patterns. There are patterns to it. Okay, this particular question keep asking again and again each year. This particular topic he keep asking, but he keep asking it in a different way. How can I search for other questions relating to that topic that I can tackle that it might bring up in the next exam? So these lecturers they have certain formats, and if you study them so well that you know the format at which they set their question, it will give you an idea on what to do and what to focus on at any point in time. You don't need to read too much because you already know what they ask at every exam. It's just that they ask it in different ways. So that's another thing top students do. Another thing top students do that you don't do is that they identify their peak periods and they study at those peak periods. Now, what do I mean? There are some students that they just want to they follow bandwagon. They want to copy their friends. They feel like, okay, because my friend is reading in the night, I want to also read in the night. It's a bad approach because you don't know whether his peak period is in the night. He is more active in the night and he pays more attention in the night. But you've not identified your peak periods yet and you want to be doing like him. And then be able to identify, okay, when do I pay attention the most? When do I get energized the most? When do I read at a long hour the most? For me, I discover that I don't read in the night. As much as I want to read in the night, I end up sleeping. Then I discover that I'm more active in the morning. So that particular morning, I try as much as possible to cover everything that I want to do in the morning. So once it's in the afternoon, I get tired and I don't read as much as I did in the morning. So I knew that mornings are my peak periods. So you should also be able to identify your peak periods and know which period are you active the more, and you set your studying to that particular period. So top students they know all these things. So if you got so much value from what I've said so far, please like the video and also subscribe to the channel. You can also check out this other video on other strategies you need in order for you to study and get the grades you desire. So thank you so much for watching and see you on the next one.